Alrighty, so thank you everyone for joining. So this poster will cover my research with Dr. Baird over molecular phylogenetics of Central American shrews. So as we all know, DNA, it's an important discovery for scientists to understand anatomy, function, and how it plays its role in evolution. So the advancement of biotechnology enables researchers to explore and discover new species from DNA extraction. So at the moment, I'm currently assisting Dr. Baird to understand shrew in the region of Central America and how there's more diversity of this species than it has been described. So the research comprised of three main techniques such as PCR, gel electrophoresis, and DNA sequences to analyze sequence of DNA that were extracted from shrew. And if you're a bio major, you probably had a have an idea or just had a run-in of like these three techniques. So as you can see in this figure at the very bottom of the right-hand corner, it's an example of the Blarina brevicauda, which is commonly known as the northern short-tailed shrew that can be found in Central America. So for this research, this is a phylogeny that is based on the 16S gene for the SOREX sequence. So at the very top is the Blarina brevicauda, which is taken from GenBank. And it's basically a database where scientists can freely upload DNA sequences. And it's for and these sequences are made to the public. So our data consists of cryptosis, and at the very bottom of this phylogenetic tree, it shows our SOREX sequence. Because SOREX sequences are very unique, they're mostly closely related to Sorex sauri, and we can't really classify them as being this species specifically. So since the branches are also scaled to divergence and not time, this tree shows multiple species of Cryptotis and Sorex. So divergence, it simply means that evolution occurs when there are two of the same species evolve within their groups to adapt to different environmental stresses or social pressures. So the occurrence of these multiple species means that there are a lot of divergence from different species of shrew. So therefore, further research is required. So we need to obtain more species of Cryptotis to see if there are any relations or new species of shrew from the sequences. And from what we know so far, based on the progression of this research, it is unclear at the moment whether our SOREX sequences represents unidentified species. And I just want to briefly mention, if you have any question, there will be some time at the end for Q&A. Alrighty, so just a second. So for this next one, will be over my research on Earth and solar cell batteries. So as we all know, right, electricity, we basically use it for everything. We use it in operating appliances, healthcare, public transportation, etc. And because electricity, since it's an essential aspect in our modern life, it can also further amplify environmental issues that we are currently experiencing now, such as climate change, for example. So therefore, the purpose of this research project is to build an Earth battery and solar cell battery prototypes on a small scale to see if homemade batteries can produce electricity. So just a general idea. So this research look into possible real-world application so that we can find other means for sustainable resources to generate electricity. So as you can see in these two figures, figure one showed the construction of how I created an Earth battery with an ice cube tray. And I basically used galvanized bolts and I wrapped copper wire around it and placed them into wet soil. And the voltages and the currents were measured for this battery. So the way the battery works is that the wet soil, it acts as an electrolyte solution to exchange electrons between copper and zinc. So the exchange of electrons is how electricity can be generated. So in figure two, I basically created a solar cell prototype by wrapping around copper wire around the CD flat with Zener diodes, and I measured the voltages at different times throughout the day. So from the results, the voltages and currents decrease as the number increase. So as for the CD flat with the diodes, the voltages vary throughout the day, and this means that temperature is does play a role and have an impact in the voltages. So to summarize the main components of this research, the Earth battery was able to produce higher voltages in comparison to the solar battery, and the number of cells and the temperature are the dependent variables for the Earth and the solar cell battery, respectively. And since this research was done on a smaller scale, I do believe further replication and experimentation are needed to look into different application for environmental sustainability in regards to producing electricity. So from these posters, I would just like to thank Dr. Baird and Dr. Jang for providing guidance to make this research project possible. And this will wrap up the presentation for these two posters. And if you have any questions, you're free to ask them now. Thank you.
So I have some questions about both projects.
Okay.
And it's just like, what interested you in these projects? How did you get involved in these projects? I'd love to know.
Okay, so that's a great question. So for me, I can tell like an hour of that. So I basically, for the first one, I'm currently participating in a undergraduate class for research with Dr. Barrett, and it's like over biology. So I got into this because she assigned me to work with Central American shrews. And at first I thought the shrews look like mice, like, rodents, but they're actually mammals and they're not classified as rodents. So I think this, and we basically looked at DNA and different techniques on how we can use extracted DNA to identify the species, or just have like a glimpse of what they are related to. And for the second one, I I got into the Earth and solar cell battery with Dr. Jang when I signed up for the, how we have for scholars, we have DOED and the MSEIP, something like that. And I participated starting this project in the summer. And then I decided to just reach out to Dr. Jang if I can further be a part in this undergraduate study class, so I continued this research over Earth and solar cell batteries. So I hope this information helps you to be interested in doing undergrad research throughout your undergraduate years. Yeah.
Thank you. Really interesting presentations. You did really good on both.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Bye.
Hi there, David. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, of course.
Alrighty.
I only caught the Earth battery and solar, but I didn't catch the phylogenetics.
Oh yeah. So just give me a second and I'll set that up real quick. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.